There's been a huge breakthrough in quantum computing as 1.58 dimensions is apparently the correct amount of dimensions to unlock zero loss energy efficiency. And I know this sounds like a gigantic mouthful of scientific buzzwords. I'm going to try to break it down in a meaningful way today. But one of the first things that I noticed is that this new type of material, which we'll talk about, looks a lot like a Triforce. I just had to point that out. I don't know what sort of magic or Zelda is involved, but this is basically magical. And what you're looking at here in yellow and brown is bismuth on top of indium. And what's interesting about this is these are known as topological insulators, which have a different material outside and inside, with the inside being insulating and the outside having a various number of complicated quantum states that allow them to conduct electricity. In this case, scientists in China have managed to make one function in fractional dimensions. It's not something we think about often. We think about dimensions as 1, 2, 3, something like that. Fractional dimensions are a real thing, and the math behind them just fundamentally breaks my brain. So I'm not going to get into that too much, but fractional dimension 1.58 is apparently the correct amount to create near lossless energy transfer, because it's one singular piece of matter with the indium and the bismuth just touching each other. It's pretty much completely lossless transfer. Now, we knew about these things having in 1, 2, and 3 cube dimensions. These were just discovered in the 1980s. They were noted for their fractal nature, which is sort of this recurring pattern down toward infinity. And here's a very good explanation. They got a Nobel Prize for discovering this. On the inside, topological insulators are insulating, while at their boundaries, there are currents running. This makes them very suitable for applications in quantum technologies and could reduce world energy consumption enormously. So the only downside is they have to be very, very cold to exist, so it's very difficult. However, scientists recently managed to put bismuth on top of indium, and apparently that works for creating one of these things. I'm going to see how we try to describe it. By growing a chemical element, bismuth, on top of semiconductor indium antimonide, the scientists in China obtained fractal structures that were spontaneously formed upon varying the growth conditions. The scientists then theoretically showed that from these conditions, a zero-dimensional corner modes and lossless one-dimensional edge states have emerged, which is very complicated. As they describe, by looking between the two dimensions, we have found the best of both worlds, because the fractals behave like two-dimensional topological insulators at finite energies, and at the same time exhibit zero energy, a state that at its corners could be used as a qubit. My God, it took us a long time to get there, which are the building blocks of quantum computers. So they're hoping that they're making future qubits for quantum computers that would be nearly, it'd be like 99.999999999 on off toward infinity level of efficiency, which would be fantastic. And boy, this one's so complicated, it's hard for me to explain. I think it's going to be a very long time before this hits like mainstream manufacturing.